my name is Paul, I go by the Smrtman, and welcome to the channel. We are going to be going over which of these two cars is more practical. Now, one is almost 15 years old, and the other one is brand new to me. And you'd be surprised at which one is actually a more practical daily driver out of these two cars. So right here we have my Fiat 500, maybe a year ago. So right here I have my Fiat 124 Spider Abarth. This car is brand new to me. I've had it only for about 3 or 4 months now. And well, it's not exactly the most realistic daily driver. So the little tiny smart car, I've actually owned this car for over 6 years now. I cannot believe it. And I bought it on a whim, just like spontaneously decided I need to buy a smart car. And I only paid $4,500 for this car. And well, I'm glad I bought this car because this car has been ultra reliable. Man, there's hardly anything wrong with this car. I've put nearly 60,000 miles on this car, basically zero maintenance. I mean, zero maintenance. And this car still starts up every time unless the battery's dead, because I never drive it, unfortunately. Now, I love both these cars for very different reasons, and I couldn't really decide which one I like more. But let's go ahead and dive into which one is actually more practical as a daily driver. And believe it or not, it's gonna be the car that you do not think is more practical. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Fiat and the smart car individually, and I'll show you guys which one is more practical. As you guys can see, this car does not have a glove compartment, and that is one drawback to this car. The smart car has one built into the dash, and this car doesn't even have one. Where do I have to store all my registration, my insurance documents, and any other things such as sunglasses? Well, I have to do it in the middle cubby over here. This little cubby right here, but it's only about 1 foot by 1 foot. It holds the owner's manual, it holds a few pieces of paper. I got like a pair of sunglasses in here, but that's about all the storage I get. Now there is some additional storage behind the seats, maybe like 10 inches wide and probably about 10 inches deep, but it kind of gets narrower as you go back down into here. So as you guys can see, there's not much storage space behind the seats. And it's really hard to access with the seats in the way, obviously. So this is really your only cabin storage. You do have a little cubby here, which I usually put my keys in. And that's about it. Now, an interesting thing about this car are the cup holders. They're actually removable. I have one right over here in the passenger footwell. And they just move in and out. Now, specifically, that one is the only one that moves over here. This one does not have a spot to put anywhere. Trunk space in this car is like any other Roadster or any other car. With a soft top, you actually get a decent amount of trunk space. I don't know the exact amount, but I'll put it down below. I just recently drove all the way from Pennsylvania to California, and I had a duffel bag and a suitcase, as well as a couple other things in the trunk of the Fiat. Now, the smart car has a decent amount of trunk space. I'll put it down below, but the car is built almost like a hatchback, where you can push all that stuff into the car, and you got the seats that lay flat, so you can actually fit a lot of stuff in here. I've literally fit a washer in the smart car. The interesting thing about the smart car is it actually has a truck-like tailgate, and in that tailgate it has storage itself. So the tailgate comes down and it opens up. Now this is actually where I store trash, obviously, but this is where you store the roof rails for the roof. There's a latch on each side, and I'm just going to lift it up and it pops out, and you have to hit it one more time, and the roof rails just come out like this. So you flip them upside down. I can do the same thing for the other side. Now this opens up the whole top of the car. It goes down in here and I can close it. Now, a lot of people don't actually know that the smart car has room behind the seats. I've literally fit somebody back here, and I can load anything in here and leave it sticking out the back of this car because it has a hatchback and a tailgate. These little hinges right here, they allow the roof to actually go up itself, the whole unit. So I have a huge area back here. So in this car, I actually have 2 seats just like the Fiat, but you sit a lot higher up in the smart car. Believe it or not, this car in the cabin is significantly more roomy than the Fiat itself. It doesn't have a drive shaft going down the center of the car because the Smart Car is mid-engine and rear-wheel drive. So there's nothing in the way, and it's kind of like an old school truck in a way, where you have the shifter kind of almost on the floor, the cup holders are down here on the floor. So really cool, I think, the design of this little Smart Car. This Fiat has this drive shaft and transmission going in the middle, so it takes a lot more room out of the cars. They both only have 2 seats. This one's designed to fit into cities in small tight parking spots, whereas this one's designed to just tear up those backcountry roads. So both have flaws and specific purposes. However, if I'm looking for practicality, believe it or not, this Smart Car is actually a better choice for you guys. You can fit significantly more cargo, and it has a lot more room whenever you're driving it around. Now, that being said, they are both very fun cars to drive, and they both have their own little quirks that make them very special. So without further ado, let's actually get out and drive each one of these, and I'll tell you guys what I like most about these 2 cars. We are here in the Smart Car. So I know that I said this car was the more practical out of the 2 cars that I own. And well, it's still not very practical. It's still a 2-seater. It doesn't have a huge trunk like an SUV. You know, you can only bring one other person with you. Now, this car is actually fun to drive. Just driving around the block a few times, just filming this video, I just forgot how much attention this car gets. Now, both cars get tons of attention. People think the Fiat's a Ferrari, but this car still turns heads, and it's nearly 15 years old. This car plays a very special place in my heart because I always wanted one of these cars, and everyone always talks crap about the Smart Car. Like, oh, do you feel safe driving that car? You're gonna crash, and it's not gonna be good, right? Well, how often do you crash your car? And who cares about all that? This car wouldn't be sold in the United States if it didn't pass crash standards. It has a built-in roll cage, for crying out loud. Other than that, we don't see cars like this anymore, and there's very few around. So this car is very special. It shares a special place in my heart, and I'm never going to get rid of a Smart Car. Maybe if I upgrade to a newer one, but this one's good for me. The Fiat. Because I can't afford a Ferrari. Alright, I love this car. I just got it 3 or 4 months ago, and I've been driving the heck out of it. I've doubled the mileage since buying this car. Now, I talked about practicality with the Smart Car. This car is the opposite of practicality. No glove box, 2 seats, drop top, rear-wheel drive. I'm not going to be able to drive in the winter. Even the Smart Car is hard to drive in the winter. So these cars aren't very practical, but what this car does excel in is this car is an excellent back road carver. Not even talking about the mods that have installed on this car. This car in its stock form is an exciting car. Believe it or not, the Fiat and the Smart Car are very comparable with how much attention they actually get. The Smart Car has always turned heads, but people think that this car is a Ferrari. Now, part of it might be those bright yellow Abarth side placards on the car. So when I sold my Miata, I actually bought the Smart Car a few months later, and I thought it was going to be my answer to the drop top, but I really like how this top goes all the way back, whereas the Smart Car is more like a Targa top. Now, when I sold the 500 Abarth, I really missed having a manual. So I missed the Miata, and I missed having a manual. Well, the answer to that is a Fiata. And this car is so much fun, and I get a lot of hate for the wing. I get a lot of hate for calling it a Fiata, but I'm not lying to myself. This car is 90% Miata, and the engine's Fiat, which doesn't sound like a good bargain. So I like both cars, but honestly, this Fiat, it might be my new favorite. Alright, you guys, so that is which car is more practical. Believe it or not, the Smart Car is more practical than a Fiat. If you guys like Smart Car or Fiat 124 content, be sure to smash that subscribe button. Like this video for the YouTube algorithm, and as always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys for watching. Y'all take care. Peace.